You're listening to The Low and No Show, a podcast that tells the inspiring stories from brands and the founders. My name is Johnny Stevens, the founder of Better Without, the app that helps people discover low and no drinks. I'm sitting down with guests to hear their stories, learn about their products, and the lessons they've learned. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Low and No Show. I'm here today with the man with the coolest name, Johnny Johnson from Unlimited. Unlimited, for those that don't know, is a beer. They've got a lager. We're going to talk about their new product, the IPA. But the lager, if you haven't tried it, it's a really nice lager, really smoky, great flavour. So I'm probably doing your product disjustice. I'll let you introduce yourself. Johnny, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me on, Johnny. So I'm Johnny. I'm the founder of Unlimited. We launched in June of 2020, so in the middle of the first lockdown. And we launched with Unlimited Lager to start with, and we've just launched Unlimited IPA, which went on sale this week, but we've only got about 5 cases left. It went pretty crazy on pre-orders, so
we have to quickly get in then. and in terms of wind back, so June last year, obviously middle of a pandemic, how was that launching something, I guess, when you had no idea what really was going on?
No, I actually came up with the idea in July of 2019. Where I gave up drinking for a few months just because, hangovers. I'm 32 now, and hangovers has been steadily getting worse and worse for the last 5 years. And I just had an almighty sort of hangover after my wedding, and I thought, I just got married. I thought it's probably time to, grow up a little bit. So I stopped drinking for 3 months, and in that time I discovered alcohol-free beers and how good some of them were. But my experience of alcohol-free beers was, when you go to a pub or a restaurant, there was just like the 2 big brands, and I wasn't a fan of them. Yeah. But when I discovered alcohol-free beers, like the crafty ones that you get on, some of the like Wise Bartender and places like that, they were really good. And so after, I had like a new lease of life from when I stopped drinking. I was, sleeping better, more productive, and I've always wanted to start my own business. So I decided, right, I'm going to start an alcohol-free beer brand.
Love it.
But that was, the ball started rolling in September 2019, and I always planned to launch in June. So obviously when COVID came around at the start of last year, it was a bit of like, oh shit. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'd invested so much time and effort into it at that point that we still went, because obviously we're an e-commerce, right? We're an online store, so we thought we'll crack on with that and then just see how it goes.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating, isn't it? I've spoken to a few brands who've launched in that sort of pandemic period, and all normal product launch sort of model strategy of getting out to festivals, those have completely gone. And actually, as you say, that real focus on e-commerce, social, but actually a lot of the people that I speak to go, actually that's helped them. They've understood their consumers better than if they were just handing it out at festivals willy-nilly.
Yeah, definitely. Because if we weren't in the pandemic, then I would have been jumping from sorting out our online presence and going out to the on-trade pubs, bars and restaurants and trying to get a stock there. And it would have been an absolute nightmare if it was that way, I think. So in a way, the pandemic, I think, was pretty good for the business in terms of I just had to focus on online. So we launched on Amazon, most of the online retailers now alcohol-free stock us, and then social media and stuff like that. This was all new because I had never any background apart from using it personally. So it was, and it's such a massive time-consuming job. Just even though you'd know this, obviously, with the app. So So in a way, it was sort of good because I could focus on that, understand it, and now we're 10 months in, and the bars are starting to reopen. Then obviously that's opening up a new avenue,
which is crazy, isn't it? Because actually, 10 months is nothing in a product, you know, in getting a product out there and being able to get stocked in bars and, you know, already. I think having that sort of the work that's been done during that pandemic and getting that exposure out there, actually, if people have seen it, those conversations are miles, well, I say easier, you know, miles easier than if you just walked in, you know, off the street as such.
Yeah, definitely. Because, you know, we've got a sales team now. So when they're going out to the pubs, bars and restaurants, they've, you know, we've had some press and we've had some celebrities drink it on social media. So I think the awareness of the brand, like you said, it'll just make it a bit easier than who's this new beer.
And I'm fascinated. Obviously, you said not from this background. What did you come from? What's your previous life?
So I worked in London in a direct selling role for 7 years. So I used to be a visiting tailor.
Okay.
So,
wow.
So I'll explain what that is. So basically, I used to go to guys' offices and measure them up for suits, shirts, jackets, and things. So like busy guys who are, you know, who worked in business and, you know, CEOs, MDs of companies who are too busy to shop, I basically sorted them out.
God, that's rather different from beer.
yeah. But I loved beer.
Yeah.
So I've always loved, you know, beer, and I like going out and socialising. So that was my experience of beer.
Yeah. And how have you found, so that moment of going, right, I'm going to create a beer, how did you find that of actually the process of doing it? Was it much harder? Was it, how did you come up with something that you like, and then getting others to try it and their feedback?
So that was sort of the main reason for coming up with the idea of starting this business was, you know, the two big brands that are in most pubs, bars and restaurants I didn't like. And so initially, you know, when I bought a load of beers from Wise Bartender, and, you know, loads of them were great.
Yeah.
And I was just surprised they weren't in pubs. So, you know, I thought, well, I've worked in a selling background for the last 7 years. Maybe I'll go and work for these pub companies and sell their beer to pubs. But I didn't want to work for anyone else anymore. And, but, you know, when I stopped drinking, I discovered that alcohol-free beer can be quite nutritional if brewed in a certain way. But no other brands really sort of promoted that. And I thought there was just a bit of a gap in terms of how the beers looked as well, because, you know, there's like a huge chunk of the craft beer market is very colourful and very vibrant. And I just thought there could be something that just looks a little bit sexier, a bit more polished.
Yeah.
So it was combining the two, really, try and create a really healthy beer and promote the health stuff, and then make a sexy looking bottle. That was sort of my spec. But yeah.
Easy, eh? You make it sound far too easy.
But it was so like I didn't have an experience, right? So I basically just got on the phone, and God, it's funny trying to think back about how it all started. But yeah, I think I just spoke to a few people in the brewing industry, got passed around sort of from pillar to post, found a brewer who had helped me.
Yeah.
And then you know, because I'm not a brewing expert, and I still aren't a brewing expert. So if you ask me any brewing questions, I'm probably not going to answer.
Don't worry, we won't. I won't throw you under the bus.
Yeah. But no, so we contract brew. So we've moved from I think we've moved from 5 breweries since we launched. We've just sort of been going to bigger breweries. So, but each time I go, I put full faith into the brewers there, and I'll give them the recipe and the process. I'm like, right, just make it taste good.
And it's that moment of tasting it that you're at the end that you're probably like that relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's always a worry because, you know, we've had our batches have been, since we launched, a couple of our batches have been pretty, they're just different from the original beer. But with where we are now with our brewery now, I think the brewery that we're working with now have brewed the best beer for us, which is obviously great. Yeah, you know, because I put all my faith into them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is, you know, so it's all or nothing really with, you know, because it's my new life now doing this. Yeah. So
and with you know, having that product and like, I guess deciding to, you know, give up alcohol for a bit, how did friends, that kind of thing, react to that? And then how, like, have you found that people actually are going, oh, actually it tastes really good, you know, actually they want it for the taste, not for the alcohol?
Yeah, so I was the one that would like always be up for a night out,
yeah,
before I sort of stopped drinking. So my friends all relied on me for that sort of to be that person. So when I first told them, you know, I did get a lot of stick for it, but I don't, you know, I told them the reason why. I was like, look, I just need to sort of, I can't, I wasn't productive at work, and my weekends were wasted. So there was good reason for not drinking. But yeah, so one of my best mates, he was always sort of not against it, but he was always just like, oh, just come and have a normal beer with me. And but then, you know, he drinks it, like, he's one of my sort of prime taste testers.
Yeah.
So with the IPA we just launched, but with the lager as well, I was just like, because he's a real big beer drinker, and he's very critical. Like he won't paint it all lovely for me. So when he signs it off, I'm like, because if I like it, I'm happy with it, right? And but he's always sort of my go-to final test.
Yeah.
But no, he's really surprised that he's like, I can actually drink that, because for him, he likes it. He thinks there needs to be alcohol in beer.
Yeah.
And he's started to change, because reality is sometimes, like, we used to go out for a couple of beers after work, and we're not going to get drunk. Like, we're not going to get drunk.
No.
So you don't need alcohol. Like, if you want to get pissed, drink alcohol, right? And you'll get pissed. But if you can have a beer that tastes the same and it doesn't give you any sort of negative effects the next day, because I'd have like a couple of beers and I'd feel shit the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's funny, isn't it? Because I think about a beer more than, you know, I can't imagine people doing alcohol-free Jaeger bombs. Like, you know, if that happens, then wow, I'm like mind blown. But a beer is that moment of just, you know, I was going to say on a Friday, but in London it's every day. You know, finishing the day and just having that drink and that moment before going home, that's out the office chatting with people, and as you say, it doesn't really matter what you're drinking. And that's what I really like. The amount of places now starting to become on draft, alcohol-free beer on draft. It then makes it very much about the just drinking a beer, not doesn't matter what, whether it's got the alcohol in or not. At the end of the day, that's a number. And I think it's that, how do you, if you gave a beer to someone and just said, try that, actually, if they didn't know it was alcohol free, what would happen? What's the test behind it?
Yeah, but there's been programs I've seen, can't remember what it was, but they tested like a rugby team. They gave half of them, half the alcohol beers, half the non-alcoholic beers, and I think this was a few years ago, but it's funny. It's like the placebo effect of the ones that thought they were drinking started to act a little bit.
It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy, because but you can see it. I mean, you can, so I mean, of course, there is those moments where actually you probably do need, actually massive amount of alcohol to go up and do karaoke. But actually, just sort of relaxing. Actually, you can have that over an alcohol-free drink, and I think you're right. It's just that mindset. It's just your mind going, actually, I'm relaxing now.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when I first gave up drinking, a mate of mine, or a mate of a mate, had given up 6 months before, and so I met him because I was quite interested about how he found it, and that was one of the questions I had to him. I was like, well, what do I do on a Friday night? Like when I get home from work after a stressful week, and I just want to sit down and have that beer, and it just relaxes me.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, it's not the alcohol that's relaxing you, because as soon as you take that first sip and you sort of, and you sort of, you know, that's alcohol doesn't do that to you instantly.
No.
It's the bubbles, it's the cold refreshness of the beer, it's the flavour. And he said when I thought about it, I thought, you're right, because as soon as you have that first sip of beer, it's like when I used to go to the pub, you have one sip of beer and you're like,
yeah.
You know, and it's just the flavour and the experience, and it's not the alcohol. And so that's what he said to me. So I try alcohol-free beers, because he goes, if you miss beer, like alcohol-free beers now taste just as good as you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
No.
Sorry about that.
That's right. Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. You can't, and I think it's one of those things that you go, the beers are getting better and better and better. And you know, I think for me that was one thing with the app. I wanted to, alcohol-free beer shouldn't just be alcohol-free beer and that's it, and that's how you categorize it. And it doesn't, because in the beer world and the alcohol world, it is, you know, lagers, IPAs from different countries. This pairs well with this food. And actually, I've always said, why isn't that the same in, you know, the alcohol-free world? You know, that there is, you know, everyone's going to have their preferences. You know, not everyone's going to like a stout, because actually, if they didn't enjoy a stout when they drank, why are they going to enjoy a stout when they don't? So it is, you know, people have different preferences, and you're right, you know, people, and very much in, you know, slightly different, but in the wine world, I think the wine world's got a lot of catching up to do in comparison to the beer world. I mean, the beer world is just seems to be a way, and you know, whether you're a beer drinker or, you know, you're not, actually, I think people can enjoy that flavor that you get from an alcohol-free beer.
Yeah, definitely. And whoever cracks the wine market,
they're going to be millionaires. They are going to be, whoever cracks, you know, a really good red. And I mean, amazing. And it's really, it is so hard. It's, you know, you remove the alcohol and you remove the body of the wine, and it's so hard. Yeah, at least with, you know, the fizz and, you know, carbonation in you know, sparkling wines, that helps. But yeah, it's whoever cracks that one is going to be a genius.
Well, it's also the thing. So like, I drink now on the odd occasion, so I might have a glass of wine if we have if we have a steak, for instance. I might have a glass of red wine because it goes so well together. But even, I don't know, everyone's different, but even, you know, a glass of wine, I'll feel it an hour or two after. I'll either fall asleep on the sofa, or I'll just feel a bit groggy. And it's simply the alcohol that does that, right? But I still love the flavour of the wine. So it's so like with beers, for instance, it's, you know, I used to, if I have 3 or 4 beers, normal beers, I'll feel it, and I'll be asleep, I won't be productive. But I can still get that enjoyment from alcohol-free beers now, and it's because they're so good.
Yeah, no, they are, and then you can get up the next day and be productive, which is always the amount of the producers that I speak to, and they're like, if I was drinking, I definitely couldn't have done this. Like the days would have been wasted.
Well, it's funny. So I wake up most mornings now. Well, I've got my little girl just turned 1 last on the weekend, and so I wake up at 5 every day because she wakes up then. But I am like up and I'm on it. Yeah. And I used to, when I used to work in London, and I'd go out on like a Thursday, maybe like on a Wednesday and a Thursday night after work, and I used to have to get up at like probably at 4:30, 5 to get into work, and but I wouldn't be on it until 3 in the afternoon. I wouldn't. And it just, you know, when I stopped drinking, it's only then you realise. I was speaking to another guy recently. Have you seen the film Limitless?
No.
With Bradley Cooper?
No.
So it's a great film. It's basically a guy who takes this pill that opens up all the receptors in his brain, makes him super switched on, super smart. And because they say we only use like 10% of our brain, right?
Oh, really?
That's what, that, or
Yes,
something
I've
like
got
that.
90% that I can use.
But so that, you know, that's I think that's some scientific fact somewhere. But they but when I stopped drinking, it was like my brain just like woke up, and it was just like I was doing so much. I was like exercising more. I was up early. I was doing loads of stuff, and you know, I started the business, and my wife fell pregnant, so that probably helps as well. You know. So
Love it.
yeah, all in all, it's and I'm not. I don't sort of sing from the rooftops about giving up booze, because I still drink now. But I think when people have a break, and they see the benefits, it's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think that it's evaluating that, you know, why you're having that beer, and I say, does it need to be alcohol, or are you just doing it because you want to enjoy it? And I think that's the way it's going to go. You know, I think you know, there's people like myself that I've stopped. You know, there's people who are almost moderating and cutting down, or got a marathon or whatever it is. And, you know, actually the alcohol-free products have a really good place with those people that actually, you know, want to go in between.
Yeah, definitely.
So on your beers, so you've obviously got the lager, and I describe, you know, my description is, it's got that really smoky taste. You can probably do a better description of it than I can.
Do you know what? I probably can't. No, I so it's funny, like, so on social media, and I obviously follow it, anything to do with beer and craft beer, and there's beer enthusiasts who, you know, who really love beer, like there's wine enthusiasts. And for me, when I was coming up with the idea, and it's sort of, it goes into why there's like the branding is the way it is. I just wanted to keep it simple, and you know, I either like it or I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my flavour profile or my flavour receptors in my mouth aren't as strong as other people's, but I don't get particular flavours in drink.
Interesting.
So I've relied on the brewers to, you know, give me the description of what it tastes like, because I either like it or I don't.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds really sort of black and white, but so but no, the lager to me is a refreshing, crisp lager.
Yeah.
So it's not heavy. If you think of some, you know, big lager brands where it, you know, it doesn't feel heavy when you drink it. It's just crisp and refreshing. It's a perfect drink on a hot day. So, you know, when last year I was building some decking in our garden, and it was like that experience of a cold, refreshing beer, what we were talking about before, it completely hits that, you know, satisfies that need.
Yeah. And then to know it's yours.
Is that any better?
Yeah, no, it's good. And then to know it's yours, it's even more like proud moment.
Yeah. So
your other little baby. Yeah. I won't let you choose between. I won't put you in that position. And then in terms of the IPA that was out last week.
Yeah, so it's when we put up for pre-order on our site while it was being brewed, but it came into our warehouse from the brewery last Friday. So nice. So fresh in stock. Yeah. So and again, you know, so before I was a lager drinker, when I used to sort of drink normally, I just drink lagers. And I wasn't a big fan of IPAs, but since tasting alcohol-free IPAs, I've become more of an IPA drinker.
Yeah.
Because of the more. Sorry,
I was going to say, I'm like that with stouts. Like, I don't know why, but as you say, I don't know if it's you remove that alcohol and you get more flavour. I'm not sure.
Well, with the IPA, obviously it's, you know, there's a lot more aromas and there's a lot more flavours in IPAs, and because it's such a popular drink now, so I always wanted to make an IPA for Unlimited, and so the flavour of the IPA, it's just got a lot more. It smells like an IPA. It's got a lot more flavour, like IPAs do, a lot hoppier.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, you know, I really liked it when we were doing the test. It took probably over a year, because we started. When did we start brewing that? I think it was April last year we started doing test batches for the IPA, and we've probably done 10 to 12 test runs of it before we sort of landed on one. And then when the brewer developed it, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then just because I liked it.
Yeah.
But again, I'll leave it up to people to describe it in terms of flavour.
Yeah. Well, you know, the consumers and, as you say, beer reviewers and everything will tell you that. And that's the great thing. And yeah, listening to people and understanding, look, not everyone's going to like every product. And I think that's always the thing, isn't it? You know, I always talk about it in like kombucha. People either love or hate kombucha. That is you know, but it is very, you know, people either rave about it or, you know, aren't going to, aren't the biggest fans. But that consumer feedback and understanding, you know, what people like, and to have two, and people, you know, don't then, will either like an IPA or either like a lager or like both, hopefully both, but at least you've got, you know, both markets covered.
Well, that's, so when we launched with the lager, we've had so many inquiries from the website about, are we going to make an IPA? Because some, you know, even like friends of mine, are saying that I don't like lager, I like IPAs. And they haven't, even my mates didn't order the lager. And I'm like, God, just order a case.
Come on.
So, but yeah, so like, you know, I can't even think about how many inquiries we had about an IPA while we were making it. So so when it went up for pre-order, so we only brewed 5,000 bottles to start, because, you know, so basically about 95% of those 5,000 went on pre-orders. So we've literally almost sold out. But I'm really keen to hear what those customers think, because I spoke with the brewery about it, and it's quite a dark in colour IPA. And, you know, they were saying, well, look, on the next, because when you brew on a small test kit, right, to get the flavour, the recipe, and then you scale it up, and you don't really know what it's going to be like until you've brewed 5,000 bottles of it. And it tastes brilliant. It's just a little bit dark in colour, you know, I'd prefer it to be lighter. And they said, that's fine, we can sort of adjust it on the next brew. But, you know, hopefully I'll get loads of feedback from all the customers, people who have bought it. And if we need to change it, we can change it, because the lager we changed slightly over the last 10 months just to make it better. So it's like it's like with anything, right? It's work in progress. If it can be, I'm not going to say, right, that's it for good.
No, and that's the thing. Being a small company, and you can do that. It's, you know, you can't, for the sort of big boys, if they want to change something, they have to, you know, really brand it new and improved and everything, where, as you say, you can, you know, take that feedback, you know, brewing in 5,000 bottles, actually it's best to get, as you say, get that feedback and tweak, or you say, you know, until people have drunk it, you won't know. No,
and if everyone comes back and says, no, love it as it is, then we'll leave it as it is. But
yeah. Oh no, we're going to go and change it.
But so we're I'm going to the brewery on Friday to taste the new lager. But I booked in the brew for the IPA with them for the second brew, but we're going to wait until we've got all the feedback back, because, you know, I don't want to just brew it again. And if everyone says, oh, actually, it could be this, it could be that, or, you know. So we're an evolving beer.
Well, that is the best way to be. I tell you, I'm jealous. The thought of going to a brewery, and I can't really do that with the app. It's like I speak to a developer, which I'm not criticizing any developer, but to be able to go and try different products, and that creativity around it, it's I can imagine seeing that end result and tasting it is a real moment to capture.
And definitely, no, especially because I haven't got any experience in brewing. I know a lot more now than I did last year. Well, you know, over a year ago. But I still, you know, it's such a science, brewing. It's, you know, sometimes I've been to breweries in the last year and talking to them about the processes, and a lot of it's just like, you know, it's temperatures and terminology, and I'm sort of just like, that's why I sort of like, I'll leave it to you guys. Just make it taste good.
Yeah. Come back. I'll come back when it's done.
Yeah.
I love it. And in terms of then where it's available, we talked pre-recording that you're it's starting to get into hospitality, and now that's opening. That's got a sort of good response. But where can people find it? Where can people get it? And try it.
So obviously on our website, unlimited.beer, and people always ask, it's UNLTD, just in case people didn't know. We're on Amazon. Virtually all of the online alcohol-free retailers have got it, but we've just been listed in Frontier Pubs, which is a pub group in London. Nice. They've got about 10 pubs.
Yeah.
Drake and Morgan bars.
Nice. Good brand.
Yeah, so they've got about 20 sites, I think, across the UK. They're stocking it from the end of May. We've got 4 new wholesaler listings. So, like we were saying before we started this, it's going to be out. It's going to be in bars. Yeah. I just don't know which ones.
I will be able to tell you that hopefully soon.
Yes. But no, we're exporting to New Zealand, Australia, and Singapore, and that's growing sort of every day. So hopefully you should be able to sort of drink unlimited in most places in the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? In 10 months to have done that and be in that many countries, places so quickly is really commendable.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very surreal.
Yeah.
I've got mates in Australia who bought some bottles, and it was just crazy thinking about, there's people on the outside world drinking it.
Yeah. You can't hug someone, but I've got my beer over to. I've managed to launch a beer brand, and we're already in Australia.
Yeah.
I love it. No, it's brilliant. Well, it's been really great to chat to you, and thank you very much for coming on. And we will go and get some of the IPA.
Wicked. Thanks, Johnny.
No worries. Thank you very much, Johnny. We'll speak soon.
Cheers.